Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip believes that if LeBron James had what Manu Ginobili has inside of him, you would get something beyond Michael Jordan based off Manu's Game 5 performance. Shannon gives us a passionate defense of Colin Kaepernick and shares a text he got from Kaepernick to remind us all he's being excluded for giving his time and money to social justice. 2008 NBA champ Glenn Big Baby Davis is back at the desk to give us the inside details on the 2008 Celtics reunion and their beef with Ray Allen. Plus, FS1 NBA analyst Jim Jackson breaks down why James Harden is to blame for the Rockets' loss in overtime with 3 big turnovers. Finally, will Adrian Peterson rush for 900 yards? Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Jennings says AP is his guy, but he can't give him 900 yards this season. Skip, how about those Spurs?
Oh, you happy all of a sudden now?
No, I'm actually not happy, and you're going to have to carry this show because I played 48 minutes and overtime last night, and I'm exhausted.
Well, you played more time than Kawhi did, huh?
I did, a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah, it's going down.
Let's get it started with last night's huge win by the Spurs. They beat the Rockets in overtime to take a 3-2 series lead. Kawhi Leonard injured his left ankle in the third quarter and missed all of overtime. But Danny Green hit 2 big shots in the final minute, and 39-year-old Manu Ginobili had 12 points and blocked James Harden's potential game-tying 3 in the final second. Let's take a listen to the Spurs after the game.
The guys are talking about the big game from Ginobili. It was the, as Patty Mills called it, the grandpa juice in Game 5 of last round. Same thing, Game 5 of this series. What do you think brings out the best of him?
Oh, man, just this intensity. Our fans, they did a great job. They bring the best out of Manu. And he came in early, had a dunk, which surprised everybody, but a big block at the end. He does every little thing we need him to do. He doesn't care about scoring points or assists. He just wants to win the game. And, he's great for us right now, and we just need him to continue that next game.
Manu, reached back and gave us one of his Manu performances from past years. He was a stud.
I felt good. I felt that I contributed to the team, to the win, and that of course makes you feel great, regardless of the stat line or how you felt.
A little sore, but the teammates did a good job of closing out that game with me not being able to go that last stretch.
How frustrating?
Ankle.
Bob said you wanted to play, but it was obvious that you needed to come out. How severe is the injury, do you think? Do you anticipate being able to play Game 6?
Yeah, I'm going to be able to play.
Skip, are you surprised the Spurs were able to win it without Kawhi?
I was shocked, and I'm going to try to be objective about this. Bottom line to what happened last night, the superstar that you said should be MVP that plays for the Houston Rockets, a guy named James Harden, he blew that game more than my Spurs won that game because they stole a game that James Harden should have closed. But the Spurs are a mentally tough basketball team led by a 39-year-old Manu Ginobili and a 5'11" Patty Mills. And as we've seen in the past from James Harden, he's not always the mentally toughest with the chips on the table in big playoff moments, and he unraveled down the stretch, thanks in large part to some shockingly great defense played by one Jonathan Simmons, who often hasn't played very much for my Spurs, but was forced into action last night. But before I continue, allow me to say I'm in a really weird place today emotionally. I am extremely elated from what I saw last night because that was some great playoff basketball. Was that not a sensational game to watch?
Probably one of the better games we've had this play.
Well, it's got to be the best game we've had this playoff. It's one of the great games of all time, just from a spectator's point of view, because it had such roller coaster emotions. But I'm also extremely deflated because without Kawhi Leonard, and I don't think he's going to be able to play the next game, or even if he plays, he's going to be limited. And by the way, I'm much more fearful about his knee than about his ankle, but I'll get into that in a moment because they were icing his knee starting in the second quarter all along through the game. But the point is, I don't know how they're going to win Game 6. I don't know how they're going to win Game 7. And even if they steal one of those games the way they stole the game last night, it's Golden State. And with the limited Kawhi and no Tony Parker, what chance do they have against Golden State? So once again, my bottom line, my takeaway from last night was your man, LeBron James, got another injury break last night because my Spurs at full strength would beat your Cavaliers at full strength in an NBA Finals. I don't care what you say. It's a bad matchup for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they're going to avoid that matchup now because there's literally, next to no way that my Spurs can get through Golden State with a limited Kawhi and no Tony Parker. Now, back to what happened last night. You realize, as I've told you all year, my Spurs have sort of degenerated in fourth quarters into becoming Kawhi or bust. And it's a dangerous place to be, especially when Kawhi can't go in the fourth quarter. Tried to go, he was limited, couldn't jump off one leg. He couldn't jump the whole night. I've never seen anything quite like it, but obviously he sat the last 4:57 of the fourth quarter and then all of overtime, and the Spurs still stole that game. And again, you talk about Tony Parker being too old, but listen, in these kind of games, in big moments in fourth quarters, Tony Parker can still come up big as he did twice against the Memphis Grizzlies in the previous round. So all of a sudden, I have to sit and watch my Spurs in the fourth quarter go from the 10-minute mark all the way down to the 4-minute mark without scoring a point. Are you kidding me? You go 10 minutes down to 4 minutes and you don't score a point and you're still barely hanging on in the game because the Rockets only ran it off 7-0 at that point. Mm-hmm. And then into overtime. Do you realize that they went, my Spurs, 4 minutes of the 5-minute overtime without scoring a point, and they didn't make their first field goal in overtime until 56 seconds remained, and they won the game? I don't know how. I'm just like rolling on the floor at all the missed shots and the blown opportunities my Spurs had, but it still came down to Manu and Patty, and then ultimately to James Harden. And if you remember going back to 2015, the conference finals against Golden State, James came up small in several of those games. We can talk more about them in a minute. But I thought his 3 turnovers in overtime were the difference in the game. Forced by Jonathan Simmons, but again, if you're that guy, you take over that game and you close that game. And he was pretty quiet in the fourth quarter and extremely quiet except for the turnovers in overtime. And bottom line, that's why my Spurs won. But my elation is undercut by my deflation because I don't know where it leaves them going forward to Game 6 or Game 7, especially if he's got a knee injury on top of an ankle injury.
Okay. You said you were shocked that they won. Now, mind you, in the regular season, Kawhi Leonard missed 8 games. Mm-hmm. The Spurs were 7-1 in those games in which he did not play. Why are you shocked they won this game?
This is the Houston Rockets in the playoffs, and the Rockets are crazy hot from 3 as they were once again for 3 quarters last night.
Can you name another team other than the Warriors that if they lost their best player, they could beat the 55-win Houston Rockets?
If they have Ginobili and Patty Mills, they got a shot because you won't find 2 mentally tougher basketball players than those 2.
So are you saying even Kyrie and Kevin Love, if LeBron were to miss the last 4 minutes of...
So we're going to do...
I'm just asking you, Skip. I'm just asking you.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, how about this here?
Do you remember what happened when the last time Houston played at San Antonio in the regular season? Do you remember what happened in the fourth quarter? Kawhi scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, and James Harden came up smaller than small and got blocked by Kawhi at the end of the game, and it was 17-4. Kawhi versus James Harden in the fourth quarter. That's what happens. Mentally tough versus not mentally tough.
Okay. Can you ask? I've got a couple more questions. Just those one. Which one of these guys saved Kawhi's legacy? Was it Danny Green or Manu Ginobili?
Oh, we're going back to Game 6.
I'm just asking you a question, Skip.
We're in the NBA championship here, but did help me out here. Did Kawhi play in the fourth quarter and turn it over 3 times in the last 3 minutes, then miss the 3 that would have tied the game?
I'm just trying to.
That's what LeBron did in Game 6. So you're looking foolish here because Kawhi could not play, and again they're icing his knee in the second quarter. He was laughably bad last night. He could not jump. He would get underneath against Clint Capella and have to do like 4 pump fakes because he was afraid to jump off, I think, his bad knee. Remember, they're Patriots-like. They do not disclose their injuries, and he tried to slough it off. It's the ankle. No, I'm afraid it's a knee on top of an ankle.
No, I'm not surprised they won because I've told you this before. is more Pop's system than Kawhi Leonard. You choose to believe that it's Kawhi. I think it's Pop's system because we've seen guys be in and out no matter who plays. Whether Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu would all sit, somehow this team still finds ways to win ball games. Even when Kawhi sits, they still find ways to win ball games.
Help me out. Explain the system to me in the fourth quarter and overtime last night. Explain what the system was doing from the 10-minute mark to the 4-minute mark when they failed to score, or the opening of overtime all the way down to 56 seconds. Help me out. What was the system doing at that point?
It's funny.
What was it doing?
It's funny that you say that because even without Kawhi, they held Houston Rockets in check too in overtime. Even without the two-time defensive player of the year on the court, somehow they still found a way to shut down and force James Harden into 3 turnovers, forced him to take 2 bad three-pointers. One, he shot from about 40 feet out. Without the best defensive player on the court, somehow the San Antonio Spurs still prevail. Skip,
This is the James Harden we've seen before in the playoffs.
No, I know.
He's not that guy.
No.
You kept pushing him for MVP, and I'm thinking, really, James Harden?
I thought but all this time you've been telling me it's a regular season award. Now you want to go back and say it's a playoff award. But Skip, this is something that, and I went back and watched the tape. In June 6th of 2014, there was a game 1 of the finals. LeBron James got cramps late in the third quarter, and he missed about 11 minutes of the fourth quarter. I came on your show on the 7th, the following day. You said if that was Michael Jordan, he'd have played through those cramps. You said hold on, Skip.
No, you didn't come on my show the next day. The day after that game, after game 1, you were not on the show. I'm sorry. We were in San Antonio. You weren't on that show.
No, I'm saying the next day I was on with you right. I was on with Mike and Mike.
Okay. All right, I didn't hear that.
I misspoke.
Okay, all right.
You said it was hot for everybody. Why was LeBron James the only one cramping?
He was.
Okay. Why did Kawhi get hurt? Nobody else got hurt.
Well, it happens to anybody. Why did Tony Parker rupture his quad?
You see?
I don't know.
Skip.
I mean, why did Kyle Lowry get hurt? Why did Rondo get hurt? I don't know.
That's my point. I just wanted you to see when you use that flawed argument and then someone hold on, let me finish. When you use that flawed argument and someone turns around and use that same flawed argument on you, when you hear it, you realize...
Now that you bring it up, I'll tell you what I wrote on ESPN.com because I had a really well-placed, high-placed source within the Heat hierarchy who told me that LeBron sometimes cramps up under stress because he feels the pressure too much, and it was game 1, and he was cramping more emotionally than physically. That's what I was told. You can go look it up. I wrote it.
How about this? All I know is this, that when LeBron James exited the game and didn't start the fourth quarter, the Heat were up 7 points. Was that not the case?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that, see...
Where was he?
If this happens with LeBron, so you make all these excuses, you want to minimize. The Spurs played a good game. The Spurs are they're a finely tuned machine, and what they do is that when one piece leaves, they still find a way. Look at the Patriots. Tom Brady misses 4 games, they go 3-1. He misses half of all but 1 game of the 2008 season, they go 11-5. When you have a great system, the other players pick it up. You want to say Kawhi Leonard is in the same breath as LeBron. He's not.
He's better than LeBron, and I'm not just saying that. Pop said it. Reggie Miller said it. Shaq said it.
What do you expect Pop to say? But I tell
he
you
is not one to make statements like that.
Stop it, Skip.
He's just not.
Skip.
Sorry.
You and I both know. You saw the game last night. And I'm not trying to diminish because I do think Kawhi Leonard is a heck of a ball player. But they won the game with him missing about 9 minutes of the ball game. They won a game in which they were tied. They go into overtime, and they win without him. So which one? Was it Danny Green or Manu that saved his legacy?
It wasn't anybody who saved his legacy. It was Ginobili and Patty Mills, and in the end, Danny Green, but especially the first 2, who saved the Spurs' chances. That what slim hope they have of winning this season got saved because whatever Manu Ginobili has inside of him, I wish I could pour into LeBron James and you would have beyond Michael Jordan. Because you want to talk about intangibles, winners' intangibles.
Skip, stop.
Ginobili saw it.
That's so ridiculous.
Hey, no, it's not. Manu Ginobili is obviously a Hall of Famer, but this guy is unbelievably great, mentally tough. when the chips are down, when you need a basket, there's nobody I'd rather have ball in hand than Manu Ginobili, even at 39. They're dead in the water last night, and he's making shots where I said, I don't know where that came from.
Hold up. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. You said with the game on the line or a chance to tie the game, you'd rather have the ball in Manu Ginobili's hand than LeBron James.
Yeah, I would. And especially throughout his career, at any time in his career. Manu Ginobili has made big shot after big. Go ask Golden State what happened to them going back 3 years ago in Game 1 at San Antonio.
You see what
Go ask him, see what happened. Go check that last second shot, that walk-off shot off.
You said Manu and Danny Green saved the Spurs' chances. Why is it that... Hold on.
And the other guy, who I got to give him some props, because Patty Mills is 5 feet 11 inches tall, and you want to talk about heart and guts. He had missed 4 straight shots. He's cold-handed. There's 2 minutes left. Eric Gordon had just bombed a 3. And Patty Mills, tell me this is a system. Can we see the shot Patty Mills made, that one? He just came down and said, give me the ball, get out of my way. I'm going to dribble over here to the left, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to shoot this shot with conviction, and it saved the game. They're down 5 at that point with 2 minutes left.
I agree.
And he just said, watch this.
I agree.
We're not going away, and he bombs a 3, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game, and you've got a little life that you're hanging on to.
Well, that's Patrick Beverley's fault because he got caught too far down inside in the lane. But let me go back to this. You said Manu and Danny saved the Spurs season. Why is it that Ray Allen didn't save the Heat season, but he saved LeBron's legacy?
Because they would have lost. I mean, LeBron had all of his chances. He had the ball in his hand. He's acknowledged as the best player in basketball, and he has 3 turnovers. He was worse than James Harden was last night in overtime in the last 3 minutes of Game 6.
But you see what you're doing here?
No, I'll tell you what I'm doing. Then LeBron had his chance to make the 3, to take it to overtime, and he LeBricks it. It bounces hard off the back ring. Boom, boing. Goes way out near the free throw line, and Chris Bosh tracks it down because Tim Duncan, by the way, speaking of the great system coached by Pop, was not in the game, which I have big issue with. And Chris Bosh goes and tracks down the rebound and makes a slick little dish into the corner to Ray Allen, who makes the greatest clutch shot I have ever witnessed in any playoff game to tie the game and sink the Spurs because they were up 5 with 18 seconds left. What happened to Pop's system there? I don't know. They missed free throws.
What happened? No. They clarify who missed a.
Manu missed 1 and Kawhi. Baby Kawhi.
Can I ask you a question, Skip? Why is it when everybody else it's a team, but when it's LeBron, it's LeBron?
Because he's LeBron James. He declared himself the chosen one coming out of high school. He was acknowledged from day one, the best player in pro basketball. And in that case, if Ray doesn't make that shot, he's going to sink to, what was it at that point? Because he's 3 and 4 in the finals. He's going to be, 1 and 4 in the finals, right? Because he had just the 1. And he would be 1 and 6 in the finals now without Draymond and Ray Allen.
But you said at that time, LeBron James was the best player in the NBA. Now, Kawhi Leonard, you say, is the best player in the NBA. So why is it a team for the best player, Kawhi, but it's still individual when it's the best player, LeBron?
I told you they stole the game. It's because James Harden, what was my first statement? They didn't win the game. James Harden blew the game. Are you kidding me? The guy you pushed all year for most valuable player coughed up this game? It's unbelievable. And I love Jonathan Simmons, but he's not good enough to do to James Harden what he did to him in overtime. He picked his pocket 3 times in overtime. You can't win like that.
But the stats,
that's outrageously bad.
But Skip, the stats bear this out. They say the Spurs are a better defensive team when Kawhi is off the court.
Okay, but that's a 3-point shooting stat where they're giving read Kevin Pelton's piece on ESPN.com. He just rips that to shreds. It's a bogus stat because the other team's just making more 3s on other defenders.
But you see what you do. But see, here's the thing, though, Skip, is that when it's a stat that you don't like, it's bogus, and you ought to read up. But when it supports, but that's not how I'm going to do it.
Here's the late and close stats for this past regular season. Kawhi Leonard, a plus 69, led the NBA in that. Guess where James Harden was? He was tied for 389th. These are late and close, 2-minute situations. Last 2 minutes, he was a minus 24. Kawhi was a plus 69. So you take plus 69 off the floor in a crucial turning point playoff game, and you leave James Harden on the floor, and guess what happens? James Harden spits it up. Wow. I mean, that's pretty predictable to me.
But think about it, Skip. You just said Kawhi is plus 69. He wasn't on the court, and they still won.
Well, I told you they stole it because Ginobili just sucked it up and gutted it out and made 3 or 4 plays that he shouldn't be able to make at 39. And Patty Mills made that shot, and then my man Danny Green made a huge 3 and a huge and 1 at the end of the game. And then my man Danny Green nearly killed me.
Joey.
My man Danny Green left me on the floor last night. He could have made 2 free throws and iced the game at the end. I love you, Danny, but you nearly got me. And he missed the first free throw, which opened the door for James Harden to have one more shot. And what did Ginobili do? High basketball IQ. He knew that once James got by him, what did James have to do on the last shot of the game? They're down 3. He has no choice. He has to stop at the 3-point line. So Ginobili's, let's see. Oh, so I could block this from behind because you can't block him from in front, or you know what? They're going to put him on the free throw line.
Right.
Okay, so he just waits. James goes up. He knows exactly where his release point is, and he goes over the top from behind. All ball. End of game. Do I think James Harden would have made that shot? I do not. It wouldn't have bothered me if James had gone ahead and cleanly launched the shot.
You know what? I don't want to run that risk. So I'm glad that Manu blocked it because Skip, I'm not glad, but I'm just saying, with a guy like James Harden, he can miss 10 shots. And then you get him a chance for the game winner, he might pull up. But Skip, what I can't...
I would have been scared of Eric Gordon. And by the way, Eric Gordon got the block and shot it and made it from like 40 feet.
He did.
But it was after the buzzer.
I'm just trying to figure out this, that Patty Mills was unconscious. He has guts and guile. And
he wasn't unconscious. He just made one shot.
No, I'm just... Okay, but I mean, he has guts and guiles. I mean, if you could put that in LeBron James, you'd have the best player of all the time.
You would.
Manu is sums up...
Clutch. All-time clutch. I've said this for years. This is... I'm not doing 20/20 hindsight. If you go back to the old show, I repeatedly said that Manu Ginobili is the guy I want taking my last shot.
No, I've heard you say
and
it.
The last guy I want taking my last shot is LeBron James.
I mean, I heard you say it. Yeah. I think I thought you were crazy then. I think you're even more crazy now. And Danny, why is it that they're doing their jobs and they're playing, but Chris Bosh getting a rebound? No, I mean, he wasn't supposed to do that. Ray Allen making a shot? No, he wasn't supposed to do that. I just can't wrap my mind around how the best player for the Spurs, when everything goes well, it's always the Spurs. But when it goes wrong, what's wrong with the Spurs?
He didn't say it was the Spurs. He said it was James Harden.
It was James Harden. And furthermore, I just told you, I don't think I got a shot going forward. It's like
you didn't have a shot to beat Golden State regardless.
Hey, did your grandfather ever tell you what a Pyrrhic victory is? Do you know the Pyrrhic victory, where the victory is so devastating to you that it's tantamount to losing because you've lost? It's Pyrrhic, Pyrrhic. So it means that you won and you lost all at the same time. They lost Kawhi Leonard, and they don't have Tony Parker. It's too much. I don't know how they're going to win Game 6 or 7.
No mercy. Thanks, guys. Before we get into the next debate, Shannon has a word about our friends at Stamps.com.
Thanks, Joy. These days, you can practically get everything on demand, like this podcast you're listening to right now. So why are you still going to the post office and dealing with those limited hours when you can get postage with Stamps.com? Anything you can do at the post office, you can do with Stamps.com, like buy or print postage for any package or letter right from your own computer. And unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes. I hate going to the post office. There's always a long line, also hard to find parking. Why would I want to do that when I can sit at my own home behind my computer and print off the postage that I need? A 4-week trial that includes postage and a digital scale. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Undisputed. That's Stamps.com and enter Undisputed. Stamps.com and never go to the post office again.
Thanks, Shannon. Again, that's Undisputed on Stamps.com for this special offer. Click on the microphone on the top of the homepage, enter Undisputed, Stamps.com, never go to the post office again. Now back to the show. No mercy. Spurs beat the Rockets in overtime last night to take a 3-2 series lead. James Harden had a triple-double with 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. But he didn't score and committed 3 turnovers in overtime and was blocked by Manu Ginobili on a potential game-tying three-pointer at the buzzer. Here's Harden after the game.
Just try to, keep them in front of me. Obviously, 2 All-Stars, even Powell, who was 7 something, I don't know. But just try to be aggressive, do the best that I can, and help my team. Just miss shots, and just to make enough plays to win. Obviously they got. The other players stepped up, made big shots, and that was the game.
We're joined by FS1 NBA analyst Jim Jackson. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you. What's up? What's up?
Good.
How much is Harden to blame for the loss?
Well, being the key ball handler, he's going to have to accept some of the blame. If you have 15 turnovers and you have 9 of them, 3 in overtime, then you have to accept some of the blame. But I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. You got to understand something about where James Harden is at right now. He's done an outstanding job all year of playing point guard, but he's not a point guard. In late game situations, it comes down to critical decisions on how you distribute the basketball, what shots you take, when to pull back. He's still learning that situation. I've been in that situation, Skip. You may remember my second year in Dallas, we traded Derek Harper to the Knicks. They put me at point guard position. I played it before, a lot of times. I think I ended up leading the league in turnovers that year. So I understand the burden that he has to carry in regards to not only having to score the basketball, but then run the team. And in Mike D'Antoni's system, you're not disciplined defensively, and a lot of times you're not as disciplined offensively. So James Harden is still evolving as a playmaker and critical decision maker in late game situations. Right. And when he stalls with those decisions, as we saw last night in overtime, the Rockets are going to stall. So I'm going to blame, yes, James Harden in that situation, but also the makeup of what D'Antoni wants to do. When you shoot 48 shots from behind the arc and only 38 are coming within the two-point line, it's an issue in playoff basketball on the road versus a team like San Antonio who's more disciplined.
Unless you can make 22 of them like they did in Game 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. You can get away with it with that.
He bears a lion's share of the responsibility because in the last 10 minutes of the ball game, he's 1 of 6 with 4 turnovers. And as you mentioned, he's not a point guard by nature. So more times than not, when they get in a crunch situation and they need points, what is he going to do?
He's going to shoot it.
He's going to shoot the basketball. And I don't know what, because it was like he was motioning for Clint Capella, and I guess Capella forgot this, and he was like, and then at that point in time, he just looks up and like.
And he just shot it.
He just
That's
shot
right.
And he missed everything.
He missed,
Right.
He did.
Right.
He did.
And that's a critical lost possession on the road against San Antonio, who themselves was over 6. I mean, we're struggling in overtime.
Right. Yeah.
Struggling.
And that's the
disaster.
And Skip, that's
Seriously,
the problem.
Couldn't score.
When you turn the ball over, you don't even give yourself a chance to get fouled. You don't give a chance to put the ball up. Who knows? It may go in. You might go in and you get fouled. But that was an empty possession. James Harden had more turnovers than the Spurs' entire team. Well, how do you expect to win if your point guard, your best player, turns the ball over that many times and then struggles shooting? Now, if he had 9 turnovers and he was 3 of 6 in the last 10 minutes, they probably win the game. And we're not even talking about the turnovers. Because we're not talking about LeBron had 6 turnovers, but they won the game, and so nobody mentioned that. And that's what happens. But, Skip, he has to take the lion's share. He's the best player. He has the ball in his hands the majority of the time. But at what point in time do you say, you know what, these threes are not falling, let's try to run a set. But they kept going because that's all they know, is to keep shooting the threes even though they're not falling.
I'm going to repeat what I said to open this show. And I am a Spurs diehard, but I will be objective enough to say that James Harden blew that game more than my Spurs won that game. They stole that game from James Harden. Again, he was your MVP all year, and he is a gifted player. And I got to tell you, he's turned into a pretty great point guard because when he is rolling, as he said, I lost my rhythm. But when he's in rhythm, man, and he starts getting in the lane, which he can get in the lane on any human out there, and he starts doing those no-look dishes to the wing, to the corner, for those open threes, I'm like, that's just too good. You know, you can't stop it because you can't stop him. And then when he doesn't dish it, he just goes up and lays it off the glass for another 2 points. But remember, my Spurs went from the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter all the way to the 4-minute mark, and they couldn't score a point. They zeroed. They goose-egged. And in that stretch, that 6 crucial minutes of the fourth quarter, Houston went on a 7-0 run only. So my Spurs go from up 4 to down 1. Well, it's, you know, they should have put the game away right there.
Yes.
But James Harden didn't take advantage. And then in the overtime, my Spurs couldn't score, didn't make a basket until 56 seconds were left in the overtime. That's 5-minute overtime. So for the first 4 minutes, they didn't score a point until Jonathan Simmons makes 2 free throws. And look, Jonathan Simmons played his behind off last night, but I'm going to remind everybody, He averaged 18 minutes a game, and that got boosted up in April because he got 3 starts in April because they were in rest mode. So he's just a bench guy. And if you had told me going into this series that Jonathan Simmons would become the James Harden stopper, I would have laughed out loud in your face, because I'd say, on what proof do you have of that? Because I've never seen any of this before. And he picked his pocket 3 times in overtime. And I'm going to remind you, while my Spurs do have a deep mental toughness about them, and it emanates from Ginobili and Patty Mills, 39 years old and 5'11". But the other guy, the superstar on the Rockets, has never been the mentally toughest guy in the biggest playoff moments. Because I'm going to remind everybody, 2015 conference finals against Golden State, when I thought they had a chance, Golden State wasn't yet quite Golden State. And in game 2, at the end of the game, this is in
when he
Oakland,
dribbled off his foot?
he just dribbled into the double team and just lost the ball. And then he goes and knocks down the partition as he's walking off the court. And then in game 3, back in Houston, he goes 3 for 16, and he ends up a minus 31, and they get blown out at home. Then game 5 back in Oakland, he goes 2 for 11 in that game with 12 turnovers, which is an NBA playoff record. And he broke his own record of 10 turnovers, which he achieved back in 2013 of Game 4 against his old team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. So he had 10 against the Thunder, and then he had 12 in Game 5, which became the closeout game for Golden State as they went on to the finals, as you remember, back in 2015. So he has a history of doing this, but his overtime is just disastrous because he goes 0 for 3 with 3 turnovers. Well, it's only 5 minutes, and you lost the game for your team because you're the best player on the floor. Kawhi can't play. You know, he's got a knee issue and he's got an ankle issue, so he's no factor. And remember, the Spurs became this year Kawhi or bust in the fourth quarter. So psychologically, they're saying the reason they didn't score for 6 minutes is they're looking at each other like, who's going to do this? Are you going to do it? Maybe I should try to do it. Nobody could do it.
Well, they kept getting a lot of opportunities because they got like 2 or 3 offensive rebounds in the first. I'm like, Spurs. Yeah, and I'm like, Spurs. I mean,
here's the thing, too. Guys want to win.
Right.
But they don't know how to win. And that's what you see with Houston and James Harden, so talented.
That's true.
But how can you win in late game situations where you have to make the right play? Now, from a San Antonio perspective, let's look at LaMarcus Aldridge. It was times...
Don't get me started.
Well, here's my thing. I've seen this story before, and I'm going to take it to Chris Bosh. When Chris went to Miami, he was a 20-10 guy.
Yes.
You could dump it to him in the post. He could give you something. But he went to Cleveland and became a pick-and-pop guy. I mean, Miami became a pick-and-pop guy.
True.
Got away from his post offense. Last night, LaMarcus Aldridge had James Harden. He had situations on him. He's shooting fadeaway. So if you're San Antonio, you're drawing up plays to go to LaMarcus, and he's bailing the defense out by shooting fadeaway. So what do? So now they don't look good at the end of the game. So we got dynamics going on with Houston.
What did I tell
trying
you?
to figure out how to win.
I told him yesterday.
Yeah, and San Antonio.
What I don't want to have happen is
that.
dump the ball to LaMarcus because, you know what? I'm going to say this sounds harsh, but this is the truth. At heart, LaMarcus Aldridge is a trailblazer. He's not a Spur. He was a trailblazer, and he will always be, in my mind, a trailblazer, and I'm using that as a negative term. Like, he doesn't have that winning mentality. He missed free throws late. He missed little bunny shots late. He's just not that guy, and you can't, even on James Harden. James Harden can defend him because all he's going to do is dribble, fade away.
Yeah.
And if he gets hot, which occasionally he gets, then you're okay. But when is that going to happen? And Gasol, who I sometimes call Gasoft, because he is Gasoft down low. In the first half, those two are just getting bullied at the rim by Clint Capella.
Right.
Really?
I mean, but also Eric Gordon, Trevor Ariza, and Lou Williams went 10 of 33, 4 of 19 from the three-point line. Ariza, you can't have a starter giving you 9 points. And they count on Lou Williams. Lou Williams, averaged like 18, 19 points a game off the bench. He's giving you 6 points, Skip.
Yep.
And that game was
I thought Patty did a good job on him.
That game was for the taking. You cannot...
It was for the begging. It was just saying, please win this game.
When their best player goes out of the ball game, you can't let them off the hook. Mm-hmm. And they let them off the hook last night. And now, can they make it a Game 7? Sure, because they can get hot at home and hit another 22 threes, and then you coming back for a Game 7. But don't fall in love. Don't think just because, we coming home, because the Spurs are sneaky. They'll come and ask Memphis, because Memphis thought, well, we going home for game 6. We good.
I'm with you, but Jim, bottom line, let's say Kawhi either can't go or is extremely limited with a knee and an ankle. Can my Spurs survive 6 or 7?
They can because of the bench of Houston. Can Mike D'Antoni make the right adjustments?
Good question. He
to
only
be
went
able
7
to
deep.
He went 7 deep,
Yeah.
and with the switching defense that they got, they're going to give up offensive rebounds.
Yes.
So can Mike D'Antoni make the adjustment going home defensively, knowing that Kawhi, if he doesn't play, or if he's not healthy, how do we attack them defensively to gain an advantage? That's going to be the critical issue for Houston. Whether you shoot the ball or not, sometimes
I'm
it
just not
goes
sure
in.
who else he wants to play. Are you going to play Sam Decker a few minutes, 5 minutes?
They're so small, Skip, because if you start Eric Gordon, you start starting 6'3", you got 6'2" Beverly, and then you got Ariza and Harden, which are really not rebounders. It's not the same situation if you with some of these other teams that they can take a big out and a guy that can go get rebounds. If Capella is out of the ball game and you go Ryan Anderson, who's rebounding the basketball?
Okay, but I'll flip that around again. I fear these 3-point shooters, and I say, who's going to cover all those guys? Is LaMarcus going to get out there on the wing and cover somebody?
Powell can't do it either.
No.
So if you make your threes, I tweeted in the first quarter, if they keep making uncontested threes, the Houston Rockets are going to win the NBA championship because it's too much. It's too good.
Well,
but
Houston had a lot of great open looks in San Antonio and didn't knock them in.
All right. Which over time, you live and you die by the three-point shot, and history would tell you that eventually you'll die by it, right? So last night, over time in the second, remember, they scored 60 points in the first half, and I said, my Spurs just gave up 60 at home, so if they score 60 in the second half, what's going to be the score? It's going to be a rout,
120 to 98, 102.
And guess what? They scored 41 in the second half, so it was 60 in the first, 41 in the second. Well, you can play with 41. You're going to be in the game, and they were.
But these minutes, Eric Gordon playing 43 minutes, James Harden playing 43 minutes, Beverly 41, that's a lot of minutes that they're not used to playing.
I guess we should give James some excuse or break.
No,
he played too many, but
no. We don't do
tired.
Excuse.
I don't know.
Up here, results or excuses.
Okay.
You get one, but you can't have both.
No mercy. Kevin Garnett had a mini reunion of his 2008 Celtics championship team on TNT Monday night. Ray Allen wasn't invited to the reunion. Allen and his former teammates had a falling out after Allen left for the Miami Heat in 2012. Take a listen to the Celtics.
People don't understand that this is real life for us, you know what I'm saying? And the situation with Ray is very sensitive, you know? And I think that when we all talked about doing this reunion tour, we was talking about, you know, guys to be considered loyal and part of this group. Just being honest, my 2 cents, man, when Ray decided to go to the Heat, I feel like he moved on. And he went to pursue another ring, and he got another ring. Shout to him. And that's it.
Who go break the ice, you know what I mean?
Right.
And at this point in time, I don't think it's on nobody on here to break the ice. I actually think it's on Ray to break the ice.
Excuse me. Is that? How y'all gonna have a reunion without me?
What's up? We don't know where you gonna be at.
You probably been golfing all day.
Tomorrow, he been golfing. He got a beard right down there. He got a beard. What up, Doc? What up, Doc?
Doc,
What's going on?
Man, the king of Ubuntu right here. How you doing, man?
I like it. I like it.
I got the game back together, you know.
Only one alive is Rondo. He's the only one playing still.
We're joined by Glenn Big Baby Davis, who was on that 2008 championship team, was at that reunion. We'll talk about, we'll talk about Ray in a second, but you've been outspoken about your former coach, Doc Rivers. What was your reaction when he appeared?
I saw some of this.
I was shocked. I didn't know that was like a reality TV show. They didn't tell us what was going on, and then next thing you know, somebody like pop up. Whoa. Well, I like him, but it was just.
You tried to get real small, Big Baby. I mean, I saw you speaking out that chair like, we still see you.
I didn't want him to say nothing to me, so I was gonna have to say something, But he made a joke, a fat joke. I've heard every Doc fat joke, so I wasn't surprised.
And how did you respond to the fat joke?
How did I respond?
Yeah.
Oh, that was typical Doc. he don't got nothing else to do but rag on the fat kid.
Okay, but you've been tough on him on this show and other venues where you've said that he's overrated as a coach, right? And so were you worried he was going to bring that up or challenge you?
I didn't really worry because, I'm a man. If we were to talk about it, I would have had to say, hey, Doc, you're not doing your job, brother. Like he would have told me when I was coming up.
Yeah. So what was it like off camera with those guys? Did you talk about Ray not being there? Did you get any different vibes than we got on camera about no Ray?
What you guys seen on camera is what was said off camera. Winning the championship creates a bond. And the way Ray handled it, the way he went about it, if they asked me, I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have liked it, I would have at least said something to KG. I would at least said something to Paul Pierce.
If you had been Ray, you would have said something.
I would have had to say something.
Hold up, but you talking about if that's under the premise they are best boys. Were they best boys?
Yeah. To enough to, hey, what you doing? Where you going? How you feeling? And
in all honesty, was this more about, because I'm getting the feeling, it's not, they keep saying about how he left. Is it about he left or that he went and joined LeBron in the Heat? Because I think the hatred for LeBron, because you lost with Ray to the Heat and LeBron. How are you ever going to beat him if Ray teamed up with the Heat and Bron?
Well, Ray going over there was, up to Ray.
Well, then why y'all mad at him?
Because at the end of the day, it's not all about money. It's not all about rings.
He took less money.
When you go and you build a bond like we did, an unbreakable bond, and then say, hey, I'm not getting treated the right way. Oh, Avery Bradley's playing more than me. Oh, Doc, you're not running no more plays for me. Let me go somewhere where I feel love. And here goes LeBron. Come here, Ray. Oh, that game when Ray hit that shot.
Yeah.
Right?
He hit that shot.
But let me ask you this.
Ray felt like he was needed there. And it wasn't happening there. So he was like, okay, cool, I'm gone. At least say something about it.
Let me ask you a question. Why don't players ever get upset when teams trade and break up that bond?
Because at the end of the day, we don't have that much control. We can only do as much as we can. And Ray with a guy can have some say-so. I want to go here, I want to go there.
That's what he said.
Well, he wasn't getting praised anymore over there because he wasn't playing as much.
Okay, if he have a beef with Doc, he was beefing with Rondo. You know that. If you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story, baby.
Well, he was beefing. He didn't have to beef with Rondo. Rondo was a little three. He was a little, it was like the big four. He didn't have to beef with Rondo. Ray is Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah.
He's Jesus Shuttlesworth. And it wasn't happening like that at the end of the Celtics career.
Last time you were here, you had some sympathy for Ray, and you thought KG was taking this a little too seriously and holding on a little too long to it.
Well, I don't feel sorry for Ray. Ray dug his own grave now, so my thing is the fact that you handle things certain ways with certain people, and we're a family. You handle that the right way, move on, give us some closure, close it up, let us know.
When you didn't come back, you should have been known. It's closure.
Well, we did know.
You know what? I called CVS and I said, do y'all have Band-Aids to fit over a 7-foot guy? Because they don't make Band-Aids that size for feelings.
Oh,
You want me to put a Band-Aid on those feelings that Kerry G got hurt and Paul Pierce? That's big baby. Y'all need to stop.
What CVS say?
They don't have a Band-Aid that
yeah, they do. They do.
Not
You went to the wrong aisle then. I know CVS got a lot of Band-Aids.
Not one that carries a 7-foot guy?
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
You don't know.
Man, y'all need to stop.
Man.
Y'all taking this too far though, big baby.
Okay.
So you
Shannon,
saying.
Wait a second.
Okay.
I defended KG yesterday to him because I get it. It's the Westbrook-Durant issue where Durant texted him that he was going to leave. He didn't even call him. He didn't confer with him. He didn't walk him through slowly but surely. This is my thought process here. I'm thinking this, and I need to try that, and what do you think about this? And Ray didn't do any of that, and he never was, as you pointed out before, he wasn't a brotherhood kind of guy. He didn't like hang with the pack. He's his own guy. Ray is his own guy. You know this. And he can be a little difficult, which I appreciate, because when the money's on the table, that guy's going to take that shot, and he's going to make a lot of those shots. But he's not part of the group. You see what I'm? In the end, he didn't. What KG holds against him is he didn't call and say, "Hey, talk me through this. Let me share my feelings with you about this." Right?
Right. And
yeah. He just went.
I bet you this. You guys won an award, right? Great show.
Yeah.
Everything's going great.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, Skip says, or Shannon, he don't say nothing. He just leaves. He just gets out of here. The show's doing great. We just won an award, and he didn't even say nothing to you.
Oh, I'm going to tell Skip.
Oh, you going to say something, right?
But I think Skip and our relationship is different than Ray.
It would not happen.
Yeah, it can't be.
You don't think so?
Let me ask you a question. When LeBron...
Y'all win a championship together,
Let me ask you a question. When Bron left Miami, how many people other than D. Wade got the announcement that he was leaving? The Rio get it. The Chris Bosh get it. The Shane Battier get it.
What you mean?
When he was leaving Miami to go back to Cleveland, how many people other than D. Wade that he had won a championship with did he tell he was leaving?
I more than D. Wade. I bet he told other people.
I bet he didn't tell anybody that wanted. I bet Udonis handlers didn't know. I bet Rio didn't know.
You don't think they knew? You don't think they knew something?
He did not tell them before he made the announcement. I bet you D. Wade
I
was.
think he told Dwayne on a plane ride back to Miami the night before he announced.
Yes.
Right?
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
And
That's it.
Chris Bosh knew.
And Shannon, I still can't believe Dwayne. I can't believe Dwayne didn't take it
didn't
harder. Like, I thought it was a low blow to Dwayne because he's basically telling Dwayne, in effect, you're not good enough anymore. You got creaky knees. I need to go join forces, rejoin up here with Kyrie.
But D. Wade said
he won his chip though. Huh? He won his chip.
Yeah.
Y'all won one.
D. Wade, what you? We were supposed to win 2 more.
Bron broke that up.
Bron broke no.
Bron was Yoko Ono to y'all Beatles. Bron broke that up. Bron did that to y'all.
That's the first and last time LeBron will ever be.
Now that was Bron, Danny Ainge, man.
Hold on. You
Bron
got
Danny
so they didn't hold that against Danny Ainge when he traded you to Orlando.
Well, I didn't. I got paid a little bit more.
Wait. I thought it ain't all about the money. You just told me.
I'm a role player. I'm not like you think you act like I'm a superstar or something.
You said it wasn't all about the money.
It ain't all about the money.
Okay,
with that guy, with Ray, he already had all the money he can. He was making all the money.
He took less money.
He took less money to go to Miami.
He wanted a ring.
He already had one with you guys.
He wanted more. He was ring hopping.
Because he knew y'all couldn't take down Bron. He was at his absolute apex.
Oh my God, you must be LeBron.
Were you there? Hold on.
You must I'm from Tom Brady.
Let me ask you a question. Were you there for Game 6 in the Garden?
No, I wasn't there.
How y'all gonna beat that?
I wasn't there. I seen it.
That's all you're hanging on to. One game.
One game.
So it's a little bit of the salt because of the ring that Ray got.
Tell the truth, baby.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
I just really feel like he didn't say anything, and he should have said something.
He did.
So
no, he did.
Bye.
Okay.
So who of the guys on that couch the other night holds the biggest grudge against Ray? Is it Ticket or is it Rondo? Is it Perk?
We just feel like it should have been handled differently. Everybody has something to say. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say, okay, G felt this way more than Rondo or Paul. We all feel the same. You know what I mean? Communication, the bond that we built, should have at least had some closure. Say, hey, it's over with, guys. I'm out the way. Good seeing you guys.
No, no. I believe if he'd have gone to the Pacers, he'd have went to the Bulls, he'd have went to the Bobcats,
I mean,
you would not have got that response. It was the fact that he was going to y'all was a pretty girl, but then that new girl come, and she bad.
Yeah.
And she get all the guys want to talk to her, take her to the prom, want to be the homecoming queen, want to walk on their arm. So y'all would...
Wait, she lives in South Beach.
She's a ring digger then.
Yeah, that's okay.
She's a ring digger then.
Mm-hmm.
It's just...
Rings are nice.
Yeah, right? Rings are nice, yeah.
How y'all thought y'all was going to take Bron down? That apex.
What you mean?
What animal preys on a lion other than a human? What animal in the animal kingdom that's on the Serengeti goes out and attacks a lion? I'm talking about one of those with the dark mane. You know, the darker the mane is, that's when he's in his apex. He's about 3 years old, and he mean business.
A he? I'll take the she over the he.
The she?
No.
Yes.
He don't even get up. He like, hey, y'all go down there and get me a wildebeest. I'll be down there in a minute. That's what he tells them.
Well, he ain't messing with no rhinoceros or no hippopotamus. I know that for sure.
But they don't play on him. He's sitting up under the shade, crossing. Hey, ladies, there's a wildebeest down there at the watering hole. Go break him back for me. Then he trot down there. But when he needs.
I'm assuming that LeBron is the line.
You know. Big baby.
We know who the line is.
Last thing. Can you see Ray ever breaking down enough to say, hey, I'm sorry, coming back? Because that's what Perk said. It's up to him to make the
Ray
first
said
move.
is a better chance of kissing Donald Trump in the mouth. That's never going to happen. Ray is never going to say that.
No.
He got a better chance. That's just the way Ray is. You know what I mean? He made his decision. He's going to live, he doesn't.
He in Miami. He built his home in Miami. He got a vegan.
He's fine.
Have you seen Ray in the last
I haven't
couple of
seen
years?
Ray. I just seen his fast food, healthy fast food spot.
Healthy fast food spot.
And where's it located?
It's down there in Miami.
So let me get this right. I can spend 6 months in Miami, or I can spend 6 months in Boston. January.
I could spend 6 months in Miami or 6 months in Cleveland. People make decisions for different reasons.
Just
You have
communication.
to explain.
Communication.
You have to explain your jacket to us.
You like my jacket?
Yes.
Well, I am a Patriots fan.
You from Louisiana?
What's wrong with that? I went to Boston for 4 or 5 years.
How long you been in Louisiana?
I've been in Louisiana for a long time too.
Okay, so what about the Saints? You turned your back on the Saints?
No, I ain't turned my back on the Saints. I ain't turned my back on the Saints.
You ain't got no.
You want me to check my drawers? I got Saint drawers.
Nope, don't want to do that.
No mercy.
Colin Kaepernick is still without a team. This week, Peter King wrote that some in the 49ers front office thought Kaepernick would rather do social justice work full-time than play quarterback. Dave Zirin of The Nation refuted that yesterday, saying he spoke to Kaepernick, and Colin is still committed to football. Shannon, what do you make of this?
I'm so disappointed because you would know where this is coming from, Skip. I don't really have to speculate. Only two people would say something like this. One is the head coach and the other is the general manager. Because what is the likelihood of Peter King talking to somebody? Because there's no other coaches that were there.
Maybe the owner.
The owner. But Peter says he was hanging around during the draft.
Yep.
So in order for him to be in the draft room or be around the draft, the head coach or the general manager has to sign off on that. So I'm really disappointed. Skip, I get it. If you don't want me on your roster, you've made that decision. You've released me. You've moved on. But don't put up a barrier and try to impede my progress from getting a job somewhere else. Skip, why is it this? I mean, first it was he was a vegan. Now it's about, he wants to do social justice work. It's hard for me to believe that if Colin Kaepernick was on a team and he was, obviously he had to be there to learn the system, he would be training. It's hard for me to believe that Colin Kaepernick would be as outwardly as what he's doing. I hadn't talked to Cap in about a month or so, but the time that when someone said that he wanted $9 million, Cap texted me and says, how do they know I want $9 million when no one has even called? So they just put that out there. But Skip, I'm not an insider. I'm not trying to refute, but you and I know because I talked to you and I showed you the text. Here's a guy that took $1 million out of his own pocket, Skip, and donated to a worthy cause. He got Turkish Airlines to donate a jumbo jet so he could take 60,000 pounds of food and water to the famine going on in Somalia. Here's a guy that stood out in front of a parole office. And when guys that had gone through the system, if they were very fortunate enough to get an interview, they could go in and look presentable. And they hold that against him. A social justice warrior. He would rather do social justice work. They didn't mention anything, but he couldn't play. He wanted to be a social worker. He's a vegan. Cap also texts me and says, this is the first time in a long time, Shannon, that I'm healthy. I don't have to get off-season surgery. I don't have to rehab.
And he came into last year off two surgeries.
Yes.
Right?
I don't have to rehab. He said, I can train. He says, as a matter of fact, I'm up to the weight I was when I got the job. So he was, like I said, we're texting, but he seemed really upbeat. He seemed really positive. And now they put this against him. One of the highest honors that you can get in the NFL is called the NFL Walter Payton, Man of the Year. Now, last year we had two co-winners, Eli Manning and Larry Fitzgerald. And normally people that win these awards, the players that win these awards, they do something for kids. You know, pediatric cancer, special needs kids, autism. Some work with the Wounded Warriors program, some with inner city kids and giving them educations and places to go and play and do things to keep them off the streets and keep them on the straight and narrow. Colin Kaepernick did that, and they hold that against him. Calvin Coolidge once says, "No man was ever honored for what he received. He was honored for what he gave." Here's a man that's given his money, his time, and his effort, and teams are holding that against him. Skip, and I keep telling you this, if you don't want me, let me move on, but don't put up barriers so no one else wants to give me an opportunity. How do you know? You don't know what he wants. You don't know what kind of money it would take. You don't know if he's willing to accept the backup role because you haven't reached out to him. I just don't get what he did. And I said it at the time, Skip, what he did was not about him. They're going to make it so tough. They will deter anybody else. If you ever think about doing something like this, let Colin Kaepernick be a cautionary tale to you. And I'm so disappointed that teams are saying things about him that will prevent him, I believe, from getting a job in the NFL.
I agree, and I'm with everything you just said. And by the day, this story gets sadder and sadder to me. I have covered this league for a long time. You played in this league for a long time. You have to understand the sort of overall mindset of this league is very old school. It's very small-minded, myopic, and there's a lot of sheepthink in this league. When one starts to do this, everybody says, oh, we better go there. That's why people fall in the draft or rise before the draft on a lot of boards.
Right.
The majority of decisions made in the National Football League, the majority, are made by older white guys, right?
Yes.
And it's why all of a sudden everybody falls in love with Mitchell Trubisky for reasons that I don't see on TV watching him play football.
Neither did I.
But there's something about the interview process. They like him. He's a good kid. You know, he's a coach's kind of kid, you know, and all of a sudden the Bears just fall crazy in love with him to the point they bet their whole the next, 4 years on Mitchell Trubisky. And for that matter, I think Myles Garrett is a good kid, too. Like, he's a very personable kid who comes across great in interviews. So they fall in love with his measurables, and they start to block out, what did the tape say? Well, it didn't say a lot.
Right.
So in the end, you see how these things start happening, where once somebody says no to Colin Kaepernick, so effectively says no, or they read that quote from Peter King, then everybody says, yeah, that's right. He wants to be a social justice champion. That's all he really cares about. Oh, we got our excuse, because nobody really wants to sign him, to take the plunge. Again, I'm going to say it. What I saw on TV, because I watched these games, I told you one was against your Dolphins, but Colin Kaepernick, I'm not exaggerating. He played 4 games last year that were big-time starting quarterback games, where I said, that's that guy who got the 49ers to the Super Bowl and almost won the Super Bowl, except for a controversial non-call at the end of the game, and then came within one throw, a little bit of a line drive underthrow that Richard Sherman got his hands on, of getting the team back to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
That's big-time production that you can take to your NFL bank. And then he went through hard times. The team went through hard times.
Right.
And whatever he's had, I'm not saying he's a choir boy or he had his issues off the field, in the locker room, whatever. But again, he rallied. He came off the 2 surgeries, and he showed you once again he's really just entering his prime as a quarterback. But he's not everybody's sort of cup of tea. You need to start him, to me. He's not your classic, typical backup. He's not Blaine Gabbert, you know?
No.
You can make Blaine Gabbert in Arizona. You can say, he'll be a perfect backup, and he'll be content to be your backup. Colin's got a lot of pride, man, and he's done a lot, and he's got credentials. So would he love being a backup? I don't think so. But would he be a better starting quarterback than the Jets have, or for that matter, the Jags have right now?
Yeah,
sure
think about this, and I'm not trying to compare him to this guy, but think about this guy, Tom Brady. Nobody mentions his diet. You know, Cam Newton, he doesn't eat land mammals. If it doesn't come out the ocean, he doesn't eat it. As far as protein, nobody says a word. But Skip, if I don't want you, all I need is somebody to give me a reason. See, that's it. So now they have an out where he wants to do social work. Now he's a vegan. What about?
Well, for the record, he does want to do social work, and that's
Is that a bad thing?
That's what I'm saying, and it doesn't mean you can't have full focus on being a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Well, considering some of the guys in the locker room, having a guy with a positive image might be a positive for your football team. But that's not the way they see it. This is to deter. If you ever think about, let this be a cautionary tale. If you ever think about, because remember, Skip, punishment is not necessarily about the guy that committed the act. Yeah. It's to deter others from committing such said acts. They're sending a resounding message, Skip.
I'm afraid you're right about that. It's starting to resonate.
You
can't do that, right?
Skip, think about this, what he did, Skip. I want you to think about this. A silent protest, he kneeled because of the police brutality against minorities in this country. That's all he did, Skip. He didn't strike a woman. He didn't get a DUI. He didn't get a DUI and kill someone. He didn't harm animals. He didn't cheat somebody. He didn't do anything to the elderly. He protested. A country...
And then he very clearly explained why he was protesting.
Skip, why was America? America was founded on protest. The Americans that came here got tired of the British rule.
Boston Tea Party. Look it up.
They protest. Oh, my... Skip. I know they didn't protest, did they? You better not tell me America, the United States of America, was founded on protest. You better not tell me that right now, Skip. Skip, and they, the country, the very country that was founded on protest, has it out for this young man because he protested? The hypocrisy in America.
It's disappointing. Whoever said this ought to really search themselves, because with all the negativity that's surrounding the NFL and some of the guys that are in NFL locker rooms right now, you would think you'd want somebody who's into social justice. And you can't use the excuse that, well, he's into social justice because then he can't focus on the NFL. Because why do we have the Walter Payton Man of the Year award then? Nobody has a problem with Larry Fitzgerald doing what he does in the commuting, or Eli Manning, or
Marino's won it, Elway's won it.
Any of these guys, and it's a good thing that they do, but nobody questions their devotion. What you're questioning is what Colin Kaepernick is fighting for, which is why you need to search yourself. Because you have a problem with the social justice that he's working for.
Because, like you said, search your own soul, because it's not him, it's you.
No, it's what he's protesting and what he cares about that makes you uncomfortable, which is your problem.
No mercy.
Adrian Peterson is now with the Saints. Bovada set his over-under at 900 rushing yards this season. We're joined by Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Jennings. Greg, welcome back.
Thank you.
Are you going over or under 900 rushing yards for AP this season?
This is tough because that's my guy.
Oh, I know what that means.
Yeah, you know what that means, but I got to go under. I got to go under for AD this year. And here's why. On the depth chart, he's already listed as second. You got Ingram, who's probably going to take the load. I mean, they'll share it. But this is a guy who, in years past, he needs multiple carries. He needs 20-plus carries a game. He's not a 10-carry-a-game guy.
He's a volume carry.
He's a volume carry guy. We see the home runs after he's worn defenders down.
Yeah.
We see that big home run hitting 80-yard, 60-yard splash, and he's capable of that. But again, after volume, after he's imposed his will, and I just don't see him being able to do that down in New Orleans, sharing the backfield. And then also, they're a pass-first team. They had over 1,700 yards rushing, which is pretty impressive for New Orleans. But I just don't see them turning Drew Brees, even though he's older as well, turning around and handing the ball off to Adrian 20-plus times a game this year. And then he's coming off the injury. I think it's a tough one when you think about him, because he always comes back off of injury better than ever, better than anyone I've ever seen. But Adrian, my man, I can't give you over 900 this year.
Go ahead, Skip. I want to hear what you.
You do?
Yeah. I want to hear what you say. I already know what you're gonna say, but I just want to hear it.
I first want to say that I'm very disappointed in Greg Jennings for giving up on his man, because you know and I know there's certain people that you run across through your career that you do not bet against. And this is the one guy I don't bet against in the weight room or ultimately as a medical marvel getting back on the football field, because he will be, however great he can be next year, he will be that great. I realize that number is high now. That's 900 is high. I was shocked by how high it was, but I'm going to go over just because two people are now involved who have huge egos and huge personalities, and both of them now have big chips on their shoulders, and that is Adrian Peterson and Sean Payton, because Adrian got rejected by the National Football League, right? This is the last hurrah, last stop. The only team that was interested, I'm pretty sure, was this team, correct?
Well, I think, Skip, with that price tag was at $12 million.
He had a lot of interest, but
it was the interest at what he basically ended up signing for.
So he had to basically crawl to New Orleans and take a base of $2.7 million when he was scheduled to make $18 million in Minnesota this coming year. And you know that guy with that chip on that shoulder, right? And Sean Payton is a watch this kind of guy. He's got a big ego, which I like because he's a great play caller, but he always is trying to say to the NFL, watch what I can do with Adrian Peterson. I don't know the status of his knees, but I'm going to guess they're okay. And he's going to have to stay relatively or very healthy to pull this off. But Mark Ingram's coming off a career year. He had 1,043 yards. My gut feeling, I could be wrong about this, is that Sean Payton will make Adrian Peterson the number one back to the 1A that is Mark Ingram. And they are definitely going to get back to running the football. I think the way they did back in, 2009 when they won the Super Bowl, when they were 52% pass to 48% run. And I think that's going to be their balance this year, which means Adrian's going to get the carries and the yards that Mark Ingram got last year. So I could see him just barely going over 1,000 yards, but definitely going over 900 in an offense. Now, remember, Drew Brees is now, he's 38 years of age. He'll be 39 next year. If they're in the playoffs next year, he's going to turn 39 years of age. And we thought Tom Brady was old at 39. So they went 7-9 last year. I think they will really recommit to running the ball, especially because they got a future Hall of Famer now who will be a great gate attraction in New Orleans. And I think Sean Payton will say, watch what I can do, because all of you people messed up when you overlooked this guy.
Here's the thing, Skip. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, guys, that the Saints have 500 total carries this year. Because I think you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that they had 464 carries the year that they won the Super Bowl. So let's give them 30, a couple of more carries and give them the 500. Now, Mark Ingram, you mentioned, he went to the Pro Bowl last year. So he's going to get, let's just say he gets 250 of those carries. In order for Adrian Peterson to go over, he's going to need 200 carries, at least 200 at 4.5 yards to get over that 900. Okay, you drafted Alvin Kamara.
I don't know what you do with that. I'm not sure. That did throw me a little bit of doubt curve there. I wasn't sure, but do you just stockpile him for the future because he's raw, didn't get many carries at Tennessee?
And he has very good hands. Now, he can return kickoffs, and so maybe they use him in that aspect. But it's just hard for me to believe that Mark Ingram goes to the Pro Bowl and all of a sudden Adrian Peterson comes in and now he has to be a backup. Now, I know what Adrian Peterson did in Minnesota, but he has done none of that for here in New Orleans. And so that would be a problem. And for me, and agreeing with you, Greg, he's a volume carry guy. He's not one of these guys like Gillisley. Gillisley can get 5 carries for 50 yards, and they're like, that's not Adrian Peterson.
Stat freak, Gillisley, like he's the second level stats where you say, well, what just happened? But every time he touched the ball on 3rd and 2, he made 3 yards.
He might end the season with the Patriots with like 80 carries for like 450 yards. You're like, why didn't he get more carries? But he's more effective than the smaller amount of carries you give him. Adrian Peterson's the opposite. Adrian Peterson might have 15 carries for 60 yards. And then that 16th carry, he goes 50 yards. So now he has, 16 carries for 100 plus. That's what he is, Skip. I just don't know if he's going to get the opportunities. Because Drew Brees, let me tell you something. I know Drew had a chip on his shoulder. He wants to get back in the playoffs. But he also likes those 5,000-yard seasons. And me, Skip, I wanted to win.
Okay, but it got you 7-9 last year, and Mark Ingram's Pro Bowl got you to 7-9 last
Skip,
year.
I used to like, cool, I get it. You need to spread the ball around, but can we win and I still catch 5 to 6 a game? Instead of, be, I was
You said that?
Cool. I'm just
I thought you were a team guy.
He is a team guy, but you're saying that in your head.
Terrible attitude.
How about this?
You revealed that on national TV?
Skip, I was asking for a friend. Not for me. A friend wanted to know if Shannon could the Broncos.
The truth comes out.
Could the Broncos?
Stole your route?
Oh, Byron Chamberlain, Chalk
You
out.
were asking for him?
Yeah.
I thought you were one play Shay. Where you just.
As I got older, Skip, as I got older, I got that big play. But in my prime, Skip, I'm catching 80, 81, 1,000 double-digit touchdowns, and you want me to go down to like 55, 60?
I just want you to catch one ball against the Raiders, break it early, and that's all you need.
Well,
right?
that's all we needed.
Yeah.
But Skip, we were a heavy run team because we had Jamal, who was a rookie, rush
Who
ball.
was that safety who messed that up?
Marquez Pope.
He took a terrible route.
Actually, it was Anthony. Sorry, Anthony. Tony Dorsett's son. Anthony.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
He took a terrible route.
He did.
You just ran right by him. What was he doing?
But
What was he
Skip,
thinking?
I had world-class speed.
Oh, my gosh. I knew
Not
you played.
world-class, but
you teed that up.
I was a lot smaller now. I mean, when I was 185,
You weren't 185.
You were never 185.
Oh, yeah.
You were 185 when you were born.
No, in high school. I graduated high school skipping like 178, 180.
Yeah.
As a freshman, I was only like 5'5", 132.
Freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school.
Okay.
Now, once I got to college and started getting those 3 good meals, you eating periodically, growing up like I grew up, and I started hitting that iron Skip. I started seeing some muscles.
But I thought Sterling warned you. You're going to wind up.
He did.
With your hand in the dirt.
That's
right?
what he said. You're going to eat yourself and lift yourself into a 3-point stand. Joe, I'm going to the job benching. Man, how much you bench to that, man? 400. How much you squat? 550. Bruh, you're going to have a hand in the dirt.
We were basically the same coming out of high school. I weighed 97 pounds.
Joy, you weigh 103 now.
Thank you.
You weigh 103.
That's so nice of you.
Did you see Joy in that little picture with the little knobby knees?
Yeah, I had
Skip, he
little
says,
bits.
this is
I didn't
not
see
me.
knobby
This is not me. Back to the Adrian.
Yes.
This is not me giving up on Adrian. I know what he's capable of doing. I just, like Shannon alluded to, he's such a volume guy. And number one, I can see where you're coming from because I don't think you grab an Adrian Peterson out of free agency without using him. I just don't see Sean Payton doing that. So I definitely think he's going to get his share of carries, but it's not going to be what he's accustomed to. And what he's accustomed to is being able to wear you down, and in that fourth quarter, that's where he hits that big home run.
What if he gets 275 carries this year, which would be way up?
Yeah, well, if he gets, he's going to be over that number.
Okay,
then.
he'll be over that number. And yet, I read a quote on ESPN.com the other day, an anonymous quote from a GM saying, because he loves Kamara so much, that Adrian won't even make the team, that he'll get cut in training camp. And I'm like, well, we'll see about it. But somebody's going to be really wrong here.
But how about this?
Really wrong.
But Skip, did they improve their defense? Because what happens when they get behind again? And that's
they didn't improve. Well, they took the Lattimore, the corner. You know, so they improved there.
But how much?
One corner is going to be way better.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But how do you improve your defense? You do what the Dak attack did. You hold on to the football, and Adrian can really hold on to the football.
I don't know if any Saints made the Pro Bowl, though.
They don't have that offensive line.
The Saints have seen the biggest jump of all the teams in their Super Bowl odds. It went from 66 to 1 to 33 to 1.
Aha. Good note.
Maybe
Adrian
things are changing.
Peterson
Like you
effect.
said, somebody's going to be really wrong. We'll see who it is.
I'm putting all my money on the Patriots. Everything I got.
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. That's it for us today. We're back tomorrow with more fun and debates. We'll be joined by Greg Jennings, Rob Parker, and Chris Broussard. We'll talk to you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.